The assault on Trump's life raises problems for the Secret Service. After former US President Donald Trump was shot at during a rally in Pennsylvania, the Secret Service is being questioned. The now doing well Trump claims he was shot in the ear while he was in front of spectators at a Butler fairground. A representative for the Secret Service said that 2 bystanders were badly hurt, and 1 bystander was killed in the shooting. The Oversight Committee, the U.S. House of Representatives' principal investigative body, has called Kimberly Cheatle, the director of the Secret Service, to testify before the U.S. House of Representatives on July 22nd. FBI Special Agent Kevin Rojek described it as surprising that the shooter, identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, was able to fire before being shot and killed by the Secret Service during a press conference on Sunday. The FBI, Secret Service, and Department of Homeland Security are all involved in the ongoing investigation into the attempted assassination. In a social media post, the Oversight Committee stated, "Americans demand answers about the assassination attempt of President Trump." Just minutes into his speech at 18:11 local time on Saturday, shots were fired, and Trump was soon dragged off stage and into a waiting vehicle. The former president lifted his fist to the throng, blood visible near his ear. Trump claimed that a gunshot had penetrated the upper part of his right ear in a post on his Truth Social network. "I knew immediately that something was wrong in that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin," said Trump. "Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening." According to the FBI, there has been an attempt on Trump's life, and they are conducting an active and ongoing investigation into the matter. According to Anthony Guglielmi, a spokesperson for the U.S. Secret Service, the suspect was shot and killed on the spot by a sniper. He further mentioned that both of the critically injured bystanders and the lone bystander who died in the incident were men. Their true identities are still unknown. An AR-style rifle was among Crooks' weapons, according to law enforcement sources who spoke with CBS News. He fired from a structure a short distance from the event. According to Special Agent Kevin Rojek, Crooks was identified by DNA testing because he was not carrying identification. He said, "They still don't know why the assassination attempt happened." According to U.S. media sources, Crooks was registered as a Republican, according to state voter records. Additionally, it is said that in 2021, he gave $15 to a liberal campaign organization. There are concerns regarding the level of preparation of the Secret Service, according to a top advisor to the Donald Trump campaign. Stephen Moore described it as a scary day in an interview with the BBC World Service. "Certainly Trump needs more protection. There's a lot of inquiry now about whether the Secret Service was totally prepared," Moore stated. But according to Mr. Guglielmi, there is a false claim that someone on Trump's security detail asked for additional protection resources, and that request was rebuffed. This is wholly untrue. As part of the accelerated campaign travel schedule, we actually boosted protective resources, technology, and capabilities, Mr. Guglielmi stated. The gunfire had begun as Trump was addressing his followers in Butler, Pennsylvania, a pivotal swing state in November's election. As Trump discussed his administration and his successor, President Joe Biden, several booms were heard. As the gunfire was audible, a number of Trump fans who were standing behind him and carrying signs ducked. The gunshots may have originated from a one-story building to the right of the platform where Trump was speaking, according to bystanders who talked with the BBC. 5 minutes after Trump ascended the stage, a witness named Greg told the BBC he had seen a suspicious-looking figure bear-crawling on the building's roof. He said he identified the individual to the police. "He had a rifle, we could clearly see him with a rifle," he stated. "We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle." And the police did not know what was going on. Tim, who was there at the event as well, reported hearing a barrage of gunfire to the BBC. "There was a spray, which we initially thought was a fire hose, And then the speaker on the right-hand side started coming down. He continued, "The hydraulic cables must have been struck by something as it fell. There was anarchy as we witnessed President Trump fall to the ground and everyone else follow suit." While Warren and Debbie were present, they reported to the BBC that they heard 4 or more gunshots. They both claimed to have dropped to the ground as Secret Service agents passed through the throng and yelled at the guests to desist. People say they stayed composed. Warren remarked, "We couldn't believe it was happening." According to Debbie, a small child standing next to them was sobbing and asking, "How is this happening to us?" And that she didn't want to die. "That hurt my feelings," Debbie remarked. Congressman Ronnie Jackson, a Republican, confirmed to the BBC that his nephew suffered injuries during the gunfire. According to a statement from Mr. Jackson, he was treated on the spot for a small wound to his neck. President Biden denounced the incident and described it as sick while speaking from Delaware, his home state. "There's no place in America for this kind of violence," he stated. "Everybody must condemn it." President Biden spoke with Trump before leaving for Washington, D.C., according to the White House later. Rematching the 2020 election, Trump and the presumed Democratic contender, Joe Biden, are still involved in a close race. Alongside Mr. Biden, politicians from both parties denounced the alleged attack. "There is absolutely no place for political violence in our democracy," stated former President Barack Obama, who expressed his relief that former President Trump was not gravely injured. Former Vice President Mike Pence urged every American to join us and stated that he and his wife were praying for Trump's former ally. In a statement, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries stated, "My prayers and thoughts are with former President Trump. I appreciate the swift action taken by the police enforcement. The United States is a democratic nation. Any form of political violence is unacceptable." Leading the international condemnation of the shooting was UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, who expressed his dismay at the shocking scenes at President Trump's rally. "Political violence in any form has no place in our societies, and my thoughts are with all the victims of this attack," he stated in a statement. According to his campaign managers, Trump is still planning to accept his party's presidential nomination on Monday at the convention in Milwaukee. There were rumors that he planned to disclose his running companion during the Butler rally. Republicans were eager to point the finger at President Biden for the shooting, claiming that he had stoked concerns about Trump's possible comeback to power. Senator J.D. Vance, who is rumored to be on Trump's shortlist for vice president, claimed that the Biden campaign's rhetoric was the direct cause of this incident. Republican Congressman Mike Collins charged that the president was inciting an assassination. Concurrently, James Comer, the head of the influential House Oversight Committee, declared he would call the Secret Service chief before his committee. Additionally, because the Trump gunman was not stopped, the Secret Service has questions to answer. The U.S. Secret Service's sole responsibility is to defend U.S. presidents, both past and present. When an attempt was made on Donald Trump's life on Saturday, they utterly failed. The latest attempt on the life of a U.S. president, either current or former, occurred 43 years ago when Ronald Reagan was shot in the lung but managed to survive. Politicians and the general public in America are curious as to how a potential assassin managed to sneak up on a rooftop observation point, arm themselves with a rifle, and fire 4 rounds in the direction of the podium, all within an area that was meant to be cleared. Why did it seem that the public's warnings went unheeded or unacted upon? And why didn't the Secret Service do a better job of securing the guy who many feel will be the future president of the United States of America, given that there are only 4 months until a contentious presidential election? The Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and the Secret Service are all parties to the ongoing inquiry. Kimberly Cheatle, the head of the Secret Service, has been asked to appear before a U.S. House of Representatives committee on July 22nd. Witness claims that cautions were disregarded. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, attendees of the demonstration were required to go through metal detectors to make sure they weren't carrying any weapons. One eyewitness told the BBC that for several minutes, the gunman who is thought to have fired the rounds could be seen plainly crawling about with a weapon atop a nearby building. The witness, who went by the name Greg, claimed that the police ignored the warnings he and others had given because they had limited rooftop vision and had no idea what was going on. In further footage acquired by TMZ, the alleged shooter, who the FBI has identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, appears to have been seen lining up his shot. Before the shooter was shot and killed, one spectator was killed and 2 more were gravely injured. Trump sustained an ear injury as well. According to state police, it is too early to pinpoint the precise incident. Trump may have avoided certain death if he had ducked when the gunshots were fired, according to David Dunn, an international politics lecturer at the University of Birmingham. Prof. Dunn said on BBC Radio 5 Live that he clearly had been well trained by the Secret Service in that regard. Before being driven away by agents in a car, Trump stood up once more to give a fist pump to the audience. Greg expressed his curiosity as to why there were not agents stationed on every rooftop in the vicinity and why they did not step in to remove Trump from the stage when he raised the alert. Charles Marino, a former Secret Service agent, concurred that there were concerns to be answered. According to what he told the BBC, one of the agent's responsibilities would have been to look about and identify concerning areas. According to experts who spoke with NBC, protecting a large area of land is usually a concern during events like political rallies. There would always be unanswered questions, according to one of them, retired Secret Service member Evie Pampouras. How do you secure that outer perimeter? To what extent do you go? And are you able to cover everything? There is an issue with that. According to BBC Verify's analysis, Crooks managed to move slightly over 130 metres, 430 feet, away from Trump's location behind the podium. The FBI has taken over as the primary investigator into the event, which it characterises as an attempted assassination. It was disclosed late on Saturday. It was surprising, according to one of its special agents, because the gunman was able to fire before being shot and killed by the Secret Service. However, in response to a question about whether there had been a security lapse, he stated that his team was not going to make that assessment while the inquiry was ongoing. At the briefing, the Secret Service was not represented. In a previous statement, it was confirmed that the inquiry had begun and that further details would be made public as they became available. In the meantime, the Department of Homeland Security declared that one of its most vital priorities was ensuring the security of presidential contenders. Though a Trump campaign official claimed it was obvious the former president required additional protection, it is unclear what the incident will signify for his future security arrangements. A representative for the Secret Service refuted an untrue assertion that the agency requested additional resources from Trump's team, but turned them down. In any case, former Secret Service agent Joseph LaSaucer told the Reuters news agency that Trump was now likely to receive a security detail similar to that of a sitting president. There will be a thorough examination. There would be a significant restructuring, he declared. This cannot happen. A statement from the party reaffirmed that the Republican National Convention will proceed as scheduled on Monday, with a speech by Trump scheduled for Thursday. In advance of the election in November, Trump will receive his formal nomination as the Republican nominee for president during the function.